Stitch Shifter here. Welcome, tubers, to Sewing Machine Heaven and yet another Learn by Viewing video in the continuing series, How Does a Sewing Machine Work? Today we will be looking at a 319K by Simanco made in Great Britain. This machine parallels the FOF 332 in several ways. It has a rotary hook. It also has a very smooth and quiet belt drive. How it differs, if we look at page 17 in the manual, we'll see that this machine uses a special 206 by 13 needle available in these different sizes, and depending on what needles you're going to be able to find for this, is going to limit your thread weight that you're going to be able to sew with. Also, it only has 5 internal cams, A, B, C, D, and E. But these cams that it does have are very useful and basic stitches. You got a zigzag, a multiple zigzag, scallop, a V design, and a bead. So by simply selecting one of the levers on the top to engage the internal cam and setting the stitch width with this lever, you can sew a zigzag pattern. Also on the front here you can see there's another cam and a little lever to engage that with, and that's the external changeable cam. It has these what are called fashion discs, over 25 of them actually, some of which are already built into the machine with the internal cam. But with these cams, I've only got 7 of them here, with 25 of those and a combination of these internal cams, you can run 2 cams at once basically. The number of patterns you can make are many, and the cams are pretty easy to use. You just look at the pattern on there, and there's a little triangles, there's a, what do they call that, a Troy's wall, there's a diamond pattern, and there's arrowhead kind of thing. So you just look at what's on there, pop it onto the post, screw it on, engage that lever, set how wide you want it to stitch, and it'll stitch that pattern. Alright, let's start out with just a straight stitch and a zigzag. Okay, got our canvas in there loaded up. Make sure we've got a little bit of stitch length there so this thing goes through. Okay, with our zigzag width to 0, the bottom knob, we'll try a little stitch here. Alright, that's going good. Now if we want to move to a zigzag, make sure our needle's up a little bit, and we'll go over to number 5 and lift our A lever on top. Now if I want to make that a multiple zigzag with a stitch in the middle, not just one on each side, put our needle up a little bit, come over here and lift the B. Now if I wanted to switch to the scallop, I just lift number C there, and then if I wanted to change that, with my needle up, pull the D lever, or the E lever. Actually, let me set that stitch length down just a little bit here so it makes a little tighter. Not that slow. I don't want it to bunch up in there. It's starting to get a knot in there, but you can see it does a pretty neat job. Just you know, straight stitch, left stitch, zigzag, multiple zigzag scallop, and then the last little, and then the bead design, which I got a little bit too tight on the stitches there. Let me try that one again. Alright, here's the skinny on these needles. Here's 2 sewing machine needles. This is a regular 110 needle that goes in just about every sewing machine. This is the 206 by 13 needle, size 11 I believe. It also has a 90 on there instead of the 110. Now if you put these right next to each other, you can see they're almost the same length, and this regular 110 needle will fit in your 319 and it will run, but it won't sew a perfect stitch as the manual says, and it can also hit your bobbin and cause some damage, and that's one of the things you want to look for when you get a 319 and open it up. Make sure it's got the right needle in there and make sure there isn't any damage. And you can also see that the holes on these needles line up perfectly, so you know it will run in there, but it is a little bit too long, and it's just that little tiny bit right there. That's the difference, that the end past the hole is just a little longer.